Assalamu alaikum. May the peace and blessings of the Almighty God be upon you, our wonderful viewers. Today, you are once again welcome to Your Questions. I am Ibrahim K. Asante, your host. We entreat you to keep your questions coming through to africa@mta.tv. Today, we are going to look at the questions that you've sent through via video. I can just give you an excerpt of one or two talking about bribery. Is it permitted to accept bribe in certain circumstances or not at all? And why Muslim ladies are not permitted to dance in the public. I wonder if the men are permitted. Well, don't change your dial. If you want to know, join us in Your Questions. Thank you. Welcome once again to Your Questions. With me to answer your questions today is Faraz Yassin Rabbani, a qualified missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. And we are coming to you from the Wahab Adam studios here in Ghana. Welcome, sir, to Your Questions.
Thank you very much.
Today we have some interesting questions from Uganda, the Gambia, and Nigeria. Let's go straight to the point and listen to the first question and do justice to it.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Yahya Odiba from the Gambia. My question is it permissible to accept bribes in certain situations?
Bribery, corruption. The gentleman from Gambia is asking, is it acceptable to take bribes? You know, kickbacks, handouts, under the table in some circumstances?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Asante Sahib, when we look at Islam, Islam is that religion that provides answers for every circumstance or occasion that might arise in the life of an individual and mostly for the society as well. And we know that corruption is very corrosive for the progress of any nation. That is why the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, and he cursed the one who gives bribe, the one who takes bribe, and even in some narrations, the one who arranges for the two of them to meet. This is how harsh and hard Islam is on bribery and corruption. The Holy Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah says that وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ. Do not take up the wealth of each other. Among you people, among society, do not devour the wealth of one another. The second thing is وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ. And do not take your wealth to those in authority لِتَأْكُلُوا فَرِيقًا مِنْ أَمْوَالِ النَّاسِ, so that you might eat up the wealth of the others. Very clearly is Allah the Almighty condemning and stopping the believers from taking their wealth to the rich people, to those in authority, so as to take the advantages of other people. And we find so many narrations, and before we go, the Holy Quran says, now it has told the believers that they should not take their wealth to those in authority, trying to influence their decisions. And then the Holy Quran tells those in authority, وَإِذَا حَكَمْتُمْ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ, when you are in a position to judge between men, أَن تَحْكُمُوا بِالْعَدْلِ, you should judge with utmost honesty and justice. And then the Holy Quran in several places has admonished the Muslims and has told them that one category of people Allah the Almighty loves is the people who are just. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُقْسِطِينَ. He loves those people who are just.
So you can take bribe and still be just?
How can you take bribe and be just? Bribery is to avoid justice.
What if everybody's giving bribe? The highest bidder wins.
This is the thing, that you need to stand out. And then that is why Allah the Almighty rewards those who are patient and steadfast. And they do not do lawmat alaim. They are not afraid of what people will say about them. They know that Allah the Almighty has stopped an action and has said you should not do it. Do not go close to it. They avoid it, and though it might seem to the eye of the ordinary human being that they are at loss, But Allah the Almighty has promised them that He is with them. And automatically and ultimately you would see the result would go in the favor of those who pay heed. And we find so many examples in history that for many, many years, for many decades, somebody was able to get away with bribery, corruption. But a day comes that it will be unraveled. The life of a
Well,
sin
he
is
would have
very short.
enjoyed the proceeds already and he would say, who cares?
And this is what the Holy Quran tells us, that the life of this world is very short. This is just a training ground for a life that is to come. And this alone serves as a motivation that aside Allah's pleasure in this world, be patient and you would see the reward in this world and more of that in the hereafter.
But sometimes, don't you think it is imperative for people to give bribes when the environment is such that people have the same qualification and it becomes difficult to decide?
The first Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, but before I go to that incident, I would like to mention that bribe comes when you are trying to influence a decision in your own favor, when you do not deserve that.
But would you say that packaging will be a form of bribery?
Packaging in what sense?
Appearance, packaging instead of the way you present things.
That is
will
not,
that be bribery?
No,
because you try to influence. You just said bribery is a way of influence.
Through some forms of wealth, through some gifts, though nobody names it bribery, it's all through some gifts. But one thing that you need to know is that sometimes you might be living in a society when you are most deserving of a certain position, but it's not being given to you. When you are the due owners, or you rightfully should be there, but you are not there. So this question was posed to the first Khalifa of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. He said that if you have a path you are treading upon, and there comes a dog, and it starts barking, it's not letting you go to your destination. What do? You try to shoo it away a number of times, and if it doesn't, you give it a dry bone. Not because you're not bribing the dog, but you need to get to your path, and you are most deserving of that. So you just give a dry bone to the dog.
So won't somebody use this analogy to support their bribery? That they're just giving a bribe bone. So it's not bribe.
No, as I mentioned earlier on, the bribe is when you are not deserving, or when you should not be in certain positions.
What if?
Or you are trying to influence a decision.
What if 2-3 people are deserving, but one goes and gives the dry bone? Will that be a bribe? They are deserving, the 3 of them.
That's what I mentioned earlier on. That everyone can be deserving, but there is always one point that somebody would excel in. So that is why those in authority have been told that when you are judging between men, you should be most careful of this. And this reminds me of one narration of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, where he said that sometimes someone might bring up an issue to me, 2 people might bring up a conflict for me to resolve. And what happens is that one person might be very good with his words. He knows and controls his words very well, and he's able to present his case very eloquently whilst he is on the wrong. And sometimes even the person who is right might not be able to put his case and present his case well. So he said that there are some people who might be able to who might let me make a wrong decision in their favor. But they should know that they have put nothing but hellfire in their stomachs. So there are instances that a decision might be made in favor of one who is not deserving. But then Allah the Almighty tells the other person that do not worry, be patient, be steadfast, and you will see Allah the Almighty would provide a better opportunity for you.
Do not worry, be steadfast, for God, Allah, will do what?
Provide for you.
Provide for you. So don't be giving bribes. They are not prescribed by Islam. The next question is coming from Nigeria. And this is right after the bribery question. In Nigeria, they have what we call the 419. I hope this is not also a bribery question. But let's take it from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Amzat Ibrahim. I am from Nigeria. My question is, why don't Muslim women dance in public?
Interesting question. Why is it not allowed or permitted or encouraged for Muslim women to dance in the public? Does it suggest that Muslim men are allowed to dance in public?
Yeah, this question needs to be tweaked a little. And the right question is that why do women of any faith dance in public? Or why do people of faith dance in public? We should remove the Muslim for now, because read the Bible, you don't find mention of dancing.
Maybe it's not their culture.
Jesus Christ never taught dancing. Moses never taught dancing. The Holy Prophet ﷺ never taught dancing. So this question that why don't Muslims encourage or why don't Muslims dance in public means that Muslims are the ones who to some extent have gone as per the teachings of the Holy Quran, which is of modesty. Otherwise, all religions avoid and do not wish for the free mixing of two sexes, not to even talk about dancing. I would give one example here from the Old Testament.
But there are some religions that encourage dancing.
I don't know of any religion that permits.
If you look at watch Indian movies, you have people of Hindu or Buddhist faith dancing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, that we find.
You look at traditional African religion,
yeah,
people dance.
What I'm talking about here, I mentioned about the Christians. I said, you see, if you see a Christian lady dancing, and we see so many of them today, that does not define their religion. It is religion that should define the human beings, and not human beings or cultures that should define.
But is it not expressing their emotions? Is it not expressing the joy they have in praising God?
That's what I was coming to. So I mentioned that not only Islam, but all religions want to avoid the free mixing of different sexes, not to talk about dancing. So I said that when you read the book of Genesis in the Old Testament, there is one incident recorded there. It's about Rebecca, who was to be the wife of Isaac in the near future. So what happens is that Isaac walks towards her in a field, and on seeing Isaac, she draws a veil on her face. She covers her face. And Rebecca is that lady that has been very much praised in the Bible. So this is the example of those people who are praised by the Bible. We have the example of Noble Mary. Do we ever find any examples of her dancing in public or any records of that? The only pictures and depictions we have of her are covered in veil. When you look at this question, you would think that it's only about dancing. But there is a ripple effect, the domino effect of this.
But with all due respect and sense of responsibility, there are some cultures, some African cultures, that encourages dancing. It's part of their culture. What do you say about that?
This is what I was coming to, that we have some ripple effects and the domino effect of dancing. Dancing would begin with the first stage dancing. After what happens? We need to add some music to it. The third stage is that we need to get high, so we need to take some drugs with it.
But there are most people who dance without drugs. They dance for sports. They dance to work out. So what do you say about that?
This is what I'm coming to, that when we are talking or addressing one question, we need to look at it from the wider spectrum, from the society and from the national and international levels. So what I'm talking about, you see, when you read about what happens in places where people dance, it's not good news that comes out from there. What comes out is drugs.
Not always, somebody would argue.
Not always, but there have been many researches carried out, and The Guardian published a paper some years ago wherein they mentioned that it is very normal for sexual harassment to happen in places of dance, in clubs. So could you justify 2-3 people getting safe out of there when about more than 70% of people are being sexually harassed there? And it does not end there. This later leads to lack of trust between the man and his wife, or the wife and the husband. These are little things that when we study in depth, we realize that they have so many different effects.
What if a Muslim man and a Muslim wife decide to dance? They've gone for a corporate party, husband and wife, there's some cool music, everyone is decent, everyone is dancing with their own wives. What's wrong with that?
The Holy Quran is very clear on the issue of segregation of sexes and also on parda. And the Holy Quran mentions that when the Muslim ladies leave their homes, they should be dressed modestly and they should not walk in a manner that would attract the attention of men.
But she's with the husband, and they're just dancing with the husband.
This is what I mentioned. The Holy Quran
Under the supervision of the husband.
The Holy Quran does not make any conditions and ifs and buts, but it says that when a woman goes out,
it doesn't say don't dance. It just say you should be moderately dressed. So moderately dressed.
No, that's not why the Holy Quran
with their husband and having a dance in the corporate party.
The Holy Quran also says that do not walk or do not make such moves that attract people towards you.
Does dancing attract people?
And dancing is the best way you can get somebody's attraction, and we see it always. The best way to get somebody's attraction is they start dancing. It's very normal to see that. The other question that should be posed here is that you ask the question that why don't Muslim women dance in public? The question is, do the Muslim ladies want to dance in public? You ask them and they would tell you no, they don't want to.
Why would they say so?
They would say so because they understand what Islam teaches. Islam teaches al-haya min al-iman, that modesty, being modest, is part and parcel of your faith. And they understand that attraction, unwanted attraction, is not what is best for them and best for the society. This is what I said. Somebody might be dancing with his wife, but we all know what happens. So many other men would have their eyes on that lady, and so many women would have eyes on the husband of that lady,
but
which would
men will have eyes on the ladies whether they dance or not. So
this is what is being mentioned, that why should you give them the extra opportunity to do so?
Okay.
Why do you want to provide a room and give them reason to look at you? You have been told that for the best, to make a society, the best out of society can come when there is modesty in that society, when there is that level of segregation between the men and the women. And we see in societies where this is being practiced, the divorce rates are less, sexual harassments are less. Everything goes in the favor of the woman.
The question was asking about Muslim woman, but does it presuppose that the Muslim man is allowed to dance in public?
The Holy Quran has mentioned that the rights of the men and the women are very similar. So when the Holy Quran tells the men, it tells the woman that they should be modest, it does not say that the men should not be modest. When the Holy Quran tells the women to lower their gaze, it first tells the men that they should lower their gaze before the women's commandments came. So whatever goes for the women, the commandments, when it comes to the issue of parda, the same rules apply for the men as well. So this is one issue that people don't understand, and I think Islam is giving different commandments to the females and different to the men. So when the Holy Quran talks about modesty, it's for both. Somebody
will tell you it's not dancing for the public to see, it's just enjoying the moment and then praising God.
Yeah, no, you don't. Where does the Bible, I wanted to even bring this up, that the Christians do dance and say they are praising God.
Yes.
But the question here is that in which part of the Bible, be it the Old or be it the New Testament, where the commandments of how to worship have been mentioned, was dancing mentioned? We see women dancing in the church at the top of their voices, with great enthusiasm. But the Bible tells the women not to even open their mouth in the churches, not to talk about dancing, not to even open their mouth in churches. So all these different kinds of human behavior have been given the name of religion, when indeed and in fact they are not part of religion, but have been the culture of people prior to religion, and religion came to remove them, but they, instead of removing and eliminating them, they have made that part of their religion.
It's getting interesting. At the same time, it is getting very hot here in the seat at your questions. Please keep your questions coming through africa@mta.tv, and we'll be glad to attend to it and attempt to answer your questions. The final question is coming to us straight from Uganda. Now let's hear what the question has for us.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Kasozi Mahad from Uganda. In regard to the Quranic statement in Surah to Ashura, chapter 42, verse 41, that says, "And the recompense of an injury is an injury, the like thereof." My question is it that to forgive is to accept compensation?
Well, forgiveness, compensation. You do me, I do you. An eye for an eye, Moses' rule. What is forgiveness in Islam? And does Islam permit people to receive compensation for wrongdoings to them, especially when they are forgiven?
The verse our brother recited was Jaza'u sayyi'atin sayyi'atun mithluha, that the compensation for an injury or for a wrongdoing, for a mistake, is the like thereof. The next part of the verse is فَمَنْ عَفَى, whoever forgives, وَأَصْلَحَ فَأَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ, the reward of forgiveness lies with Allah the Almighty. Now the beautiful thing about Islam is that it is a very balanced religion. When we look at the Mosaic law, we look at the Old Testament, we see the law to be very harsh and very, very demanding. It's very just.
Yes. You cut my hand, I cut your hand.
Exactly. And then when we look at the New Testament, we see the complete opposite. Jesus Christ said, if somebody slaps you, your right cheek, give him the left cheek.
He's going to slap it again.
Yes. If somebody takes your clothing, give him more favors. So these two teachings are both against the law or of the nature of man. Sometimes a person wants to forgive, but the Mosaic law says no, you have to be just. And then comes the New Testament. How on earth is this the nature of man, that you get a slap on one cheek and you want to turn the other? So this is
for the sake of God.
For the sake of
and
God,
peace.
How many people could do it? And this is what the Holy Quran mentions. The Holy Quran has put both these statements in one. He says that indeed an injury should be paid with an injury. But if you see that the one who made the mistake would improve his condition and he has the regret over that issue, then you should forgive him. Because if you do so, then your reward lies with Allah the Almighty. So it gives you both options. It says if you see that the person is going to change his behavior, you see that he is going to leave his past and turn into a new leaf, and he would be beneficial for the society, though you have that right to repay the evil he did with you, but Allah the Almighty says that it is best you forgive him at that stage. But it also tells you that if you want to take your revenge, you are very much permitted. But it tells us again and again, the Holy Quran says, but Allah the Almighty does not like those who transgress. So do not go above and beyond the bounds. If you want to take your compensation, you can do so. But it tells us that if you forgive, and the Holy Quran is filled with verses that talk about forgiveness. And the Holy Prophet ﷺ is the perfect example for mankind, wherein he told us with his own example. He forgave the person who murdered his daughter, his uncle. His own self was wronged, not once, not twice. His life was threatened. But at long last, it was the forgiveness that changed the hearts of many.
The forgiveness changes hearts, but does that stop one from getting compensated?
That is what I mentioned earlier on, that if one seeks compensation, the Holy Quran says you have more than the right to do so, but you should stay in the limits. But if you want to forgive, then your compensation lies with Allah the Almighty in a form of a great reward. So both options are opened for man to choose between.
Both options are open for man to choose between. This is your questions. Please keep your questions coming through to africa@mta.tv. Wrapping up in a minute. Forgiveness. Is it not very difficult to forgive? And does Islam permit, I have forgiven you, but I have not forgotten?
The Holy Quran and the Holy Prophet ﷺ have taught this time and again that once you've forgiven someone, then you should be expecting your reward from Allah the Almighty. You did not forgive the person for his own sake. You forgive him for the sake of Allah the Almighty. And now your reward lies with Allah the Almighty. But it also tells the believer, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, that one believer is not bitten from the same hole twice. So it's possible that one person, you forgive him, but a believer is he who should be wary of what is happening around him. So that's what the Holy Prophet said, that one believer is not bitten from the same hole twice. Is to mean that if someone has deceived you or has wronged you, so you should be careful in relation with that person. So it's forgiveness, but you should also be careful that a person who makes a mistake, everyone can make a mistake, but you should not open yourself, or you should not prone yourself so much that everybody is able to exploit you.
Well, this is all time will permit us to go into your questions. You should forgive, but be on the lookout and do not get yourself hurt all the time. It has been Faraz Yassin Rabbani, a qualified missionary of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, explaining and attempting to answer the questions that have been brought to us today from the Gambia, Uganda, and Nigeria. I remain your host, Ibrahim K. Asante, and this is Your Questions. Keep your questions coming through to africa@mta.tv. Make a date with us and don't change the dial. Thank you.